A farmer can survive storms. He can survive drought, bad soil, and even bad luck. But today there is one thing he cannot survive without: the most powerful name in farming. For nearly 2 centuries, its green and yellow machines have carved the land, fed nations, and built a multi-billion-dollar empire. What began in 1837 as a broke blacksmith's last gamble became the undisputed ruler of global agriculture. A tractor once symbolized freedom. Today, that same tractor can lock itself, refusing to move unless the manufacturer allows it. You can pay $500,000 for a combine and still not own it. Software locked, diagnostics restricted, breakdown during harvest. You can't fix it. You wait while your crops die in the field. Farmers are now hacking their own machines, downloading illegal Ukrainian software, because behind every green tractor lies a hidden story, a story of innovation turned into control. And a company critics say doesn't just sell tractors anymore, it owns agriculture itself. So how did a blacksmith's simple plow become a digital empire? And why are farmers now rising against the brand they once worshipped? This is the untold story of John Deere, its rise, its power, and the rebellion it created. The man behind the machine. February 7, 1804. A baby boy was born in Rutland, Vermont, named John Deere. His father, William Deere, was a tailor who disappeared at sea when John was just 4 years old, leaving the family in financial hardship. Young John had to grow up fast. At age 17, John became an apprentice blacksmith, learning the trade that would change American history. By his early 20s, he'd established himself as a skilled craftsman in Vermont, known for his perfectly polished hay forks and shovels. He married Demarius Lamb in 1827, and they started a family. But success was short-lived. In 1837, a now 33-year-old blacksmith named John Deere made the hardest decision of his life. He fled Vermont to escape bankruptcy, leaving behind his pregnant wife, Demarius, and their 4 children, with a 5th on the way. He traveled over 800 miles to Grand Detour, Illinois, a tiny settlement of just a few dozen families on the frontier. He arrived with nothing but his blacksmithing tools, his skills, and desperate hope for a fresh start. What he found was a community of frustrated farmers fighting an impossible battle against the Midwest prairie soil. The cast-iron plows that worked perfectly in the East were useless here. The thick, sticky prairie soil would cling to the plow, forcing farmers to stop every few feet to scrape it clean. The invention that changed America. One day, Deere saw a broken steel sawmill blade collecting dust. He had an idea. He took that polished steel blade and shaped it over a log, creating a new type of moldboard plow. The polished steel surface allowed the soil to slide off cleanly. In 1837, Deere sold his first steel plow to a local farmer named Lewis Crandall. By 1841, he was making 75 to 100 plows per year. By 1846, he was producing 1,000 plows annually. His invention became known as the plow that broke the plains. It literally enabled westward expansion and transformed American agriculture. But Deere wasn't just an inventor, he was a businessman with vision. In 1848, he moved his operation to Moline, Illinois, a transportation hub on the Mississippi River. In 1868, John Deere incorporated his business as Deere & Company. His philosophy was simple but powerful. I will never put my name on a product that does not have in it the best that is in me. This commitment to quality became the foundation of the company's reputation. John Deere himself stepped back from daily operations, serving as Moline's mayor and focusing on civic duties. When he died in 1886 at age 82, his son Charles took over and transformed the company into an industrial powerhouse. Expansion and innovation. The real game-changer came in 1918 when John Deere bought the Waterloo Gasoline Engine Company in Iowa. This acquisition brought them into the tractor business. They sold 5,634 Waterloo Boy tractors in that first year alone. In 1923, they introduced the John Deere Model D, the first tractor to bear the John Deere name. By the 1950s, John Deere had become the largest agricultural equipment manufacturer in the world. From a single steel plow in a blacksmith shop to a global empire, it was the American dream realized. By the 1960s and 70s, American agriculture was changing at a pace the world had never seen. Farms were getting bigger, labor was shrinking, and mechanization was becoming essential. John Deere was no longer just a maker of plows and tractors. It was becoming an engineering powerhouse. During these decades, Deere expanded aggressively into new industries: construction equipment, forestry machinery, lawn and garden products. They also went global, opening manufacturing plants in Mexico, Argentina, Brazil, and France. By the late 1970s, the green and yellow brand was recognized in nearly every major farming nation on Earth. But the most important transformation in Deere's history didn't begin in the 20th century's early mechanization boom. It began in the 1990s when John Deere stopped thinking like a machinery company and started thinking like a technology company. In 1996, Deere introduced its first production GPS receiver, the early version of what would soon become known as Starfire. The bright yellow dome, nicknamed Green Eggs and Ham, sat on top of tractors and delivered GPS correction signals accurate to within just a few inches. This wasn't just about knowing where you were, it was about knowing where every seed, every row, every inch of ground should be. In 2002, John Deere released AutoTrack, the GPS-based guidance system that allowed tractors to steer themselves with near-perfect accuracy. And the biggest change? Overlap disappeared. Manual plowing often resulted in at least 10% overlap between rows, meaning wasted seed, wasted fertilizer, wasted pesticides, wasted fuel, and wasted time. AutoTrack cut that waste to almost zero. By 2004, using NASA's global ground station network and advanced correction algorithms, Deere could deliver autonomous guidance signals almost anywhere in the world. Precision farming became not just an option, it became a competitive advantage. By the late 2000s, these tools weren't futuristic, they were essential. And by 2010, precision farming adoption had become mainstream, with a majority of John Deere customers using some level of GPS-enabled technology. This was the golden age of John Deere, the period when its innovations genuinely helped farmers work faster, waste less, and grow more. Everything looked perfect, but beneath the surface, something fundamental was changing. Because the more technology John Deere built into its machines, the more control the company had over them. By 2015 to 2016, John Deere made a decision that changed everything. Farmers could own the machine, but not the software that made it run. A new software license agreement turned every modern tractor into a locked computer on wheels. Farmers discovered they could no longer diagnose or fix their own equipment. Modern John Deere tractors run on engine control units, ECUs, sophisticated onboard computers that control everything from transmission timing to fuel injection. But farmers couldn't read those codes. Independent mechanics couldn't clear them. Only a John Deere dealer using proprietary software could unlock the machine and authorize a repair. Even if a farmer replaced a part himself, the tractor would not recognize it until a dealer reprogrammed the system. Generations of self-reliant farmers suddenly found themselves locked out of their own machines. Studies estimate that farmers lose over $3 billion per year from tractor downtime. One Missouri farmer described watching his fertilizer spreader sit in a John Deere shop for 28 days during planting season. In agriculture, timing is life. Missing a planting window can destroy a year's income. Independent repair shops typically charge around $75 an hour. Dealers charge far more and often require expensive Deere-branded parts, even when cheaper alternatives work just as well. The economics were brutal. Farmers were trapped, and so an underground rebellion began. Farmers started hacking their own tractors, downloading Ukrainian firmware and pirated diagnostic tools just to keep their equipment running. They weren't trying to break the law, they were trying to survive. By 2019, farms like Forest River Farms filed a class action lawsuit accusing John Deere of using software locks to create a repair monopoly in violation of US antitrust law. In October 2021, more than 10,000 workers across 14 factories walked off the job in John Deere's first major strike in over 35 years.
Right now, more than 10,000 John Deere workers are on strike at a critical time. Farmers are harvesting their crops. John Deere workers walked off the job, demanding a better union contract. CBS 2's Charlie DeMar talked with workers in East Moline, Illinois. It's about 165 miles southwest of Chicago.
The reason? The company was forecasting record profits of $5.9 billion. The CEO had taken a 160% pay raise, and shareholders enjoyed booming dividends. Workers, meanwhile, were offered raises that didn't even keep up with inflation and a plan to eliminate pensions for new hires. After working through the pandemic as essential workers, the offer felt like an insult. The first contract was rejected by 90%. The second was rejected 55% to 45%. Strike pay was only $275 per week, but workers refused to break. After 34 days on strike, they won. It was a historic victory, but it revealed how far the company had drifted from the values of its founder. John Deere enters the 2020s in a position no one could have predicted. Still the global leader in agricultural machinery, but facing more pressure than at any point in its modern history. In fiscal year 2024, Deere reported $51.7 billion in revenue, down sharply from $61.2 billion in 2023. Net income fell even harder from $10.1 billion to $7.1 billion, a 30% drop. A global slowdown is squeezing every part of the business. Weaker agricultural commodity markets. But Deere's biggest threat isn't economic, it's reputational. But the pressure wasn't only financial or political, it was human. In Milan, Illinois, an employee died inside a John Deere facility, triggering an OSHA investigation into workplace conditions. In January 2024, the Federal Trade Commission, joined by the Attorneys General of Illinois and Minnesota, filed a sweeping antitrust lawsuit against John Deere. The allegation: Deere illegally monopolized the repair market by locking essential software tools behind its dealer network. The FTC argues Deere violated Section 2 of the Sherman Act, Section 5 of the FTC Act, and is seeking orders that would force Deere to provide fully functional repair software and tools to farmers and independent mechanics. Deere maintains exclusive control over all repairs that require software authorization, giving it complete power over cost, timing, and access. To regulators, that's a monopoly. To farmers, it's a chokehold. Beyond repair restrictions, Deere faces mounting criticism on multiple fronts. Heavy machinery contributes to emissions. Soil compaction reduces long-term yields. Large-scale operations increase environmental strain. From a simple steel plow to AI-powered autonomous tractors, John Deere has shaped American agriculture for nearly 2 centuries. Few companies have done more to feed a nation or transform the way the world grows its food. But as Deere races toward a future of electrification, automation, and 24/7 robotic farming, one question now determines everything. Will they return to their roots of empowering farmers or continue down the path of control? Because this story is no longer just about tractors or technology, it's about ownership. It's about freedom. It's about who holds the power to grow the world's food. John Deere still has a choice. They can become a hero again, combining groundbreaking technology with the openness, trust, and farmer-first values that built the company in the first place. The tools exist. The technology is ready. The opportunity is real. But so is the risk. Because the steel plow once broke the plains, and today it may be the software locks, not the machines, that break the company's reputation forever.